Welcome to Brainstorming. I'm Anna Tizard, award-winning dream punk and deeply weird fantasy author. And yes, that's me and my fiction that's deeply weird. Explore and imagine with me the most unexpected story ideas using the surrealist word game of Exquisite Corpse. Find out more and join in at annatizard.com. This is a storytelling challenge unlike anything you've tried before. Hello, imaginative people. I'm Anna Tizard, believe it or not, and this is episode 43 of Brainstorming. I'm afraid I'm a little bit nasal today and recording rather late in the day. I've had a really bad bout of COVID this last week, and I'm only just now beginning to feel human again. Human enough to play the surrealist word game of Exquisite Corpse? Time will tell. I shall give it a go though. I shall pull words at random, and perhaps they will be your words, from the socks of destiny to make some bizarre and intriguing sentences. So brace yourself for a unique journey into storytelling, even if it may be a slightly nasal journey into storytelling. And hopefully there'll be some ideas that will spark off your own creative writing. Bring forth the socks of destiny. Right, I'm just gonna jump straight in there and pull out the first word, which is from Robin the Mail Lady, fearless. Okay. We are fearless today. The next word is from Graciela Madrid. Flamingo. We have a fearless flamingo. Okay. Just going to keep going. From the action sock, I have a phrase from Robin the Mail Lady. Drove to the ocean for. Why would a flamingo need to drive to the ocean? Okay. We have from Travis the word inelegant. It's an interesting describing word. So let's just find our final word, a noun, from me. Bones. Ooh. So altogether we have, for our first Exquisite Corpse of this very nasal, very rainy day, the fearless flamingo drove to the ocean for the inelegant bones. Right, I think I'm going to pour some tea. I've had some green tea brewing and I especially need it today. Let's just see if this is going to wake up my brain. And of course I'll be using the pause button as ever. Lord knows when this is actually going to come out. This episode today. Right, so the fearless flamingo drove to the ocean for the inelegant bones. Inelegant bones makes me think of a whale washed up on the shore, probably because the ocean is mentioned. Its skeleton long ago picked clean by gulls. But what's inelegant about that? An alternative might be a sea creature, or maybe even a person who's died at sea. There could have been a fight on a boat that led to someone being thrown aboard, either dead already or unconscious. And if they're far out to sea, it might be some time before their body washes up on the beach. What's left of it? The inelegant bones, of course. And the murderer, who managed to get away with it all this time, hears about it on the news, this mysterious body that's been washed up on the shore. And he can't help but drive to the ocean to try and find out more and confirm that it is in fact that person. But without going on the internet or making any phone calls, because maybe if the police pick up on his trail, they'll start going through his browser history and data on his phone. So he just drives there instead. He just gets in a car and drives. Perhaps he assumes another identity or just keeps a very low profile when he does this. He has to see the body. He has to see that place again, to be able to put all of this behind him after all these years that it's haunted him. But when he gets there, he can't. Standing on an abandoned beach next to a cordoned off area where the evidence was found, he stares out at the grey crashing sea, and all it does is churn up memories for him. He's as restless as the waves. What next? How could you develop this into a story? It could be written all from his point of view, of course, but in that case, it would work better if we can really root for him. If he's a cold-blooded killer, he's not going to get my sympathy, so I couldn't write that. I couldn't read it either. But if there's a reason why he ended up in that fight, if the person he killed was blackmailing him, or if he didn't mean to kill him, it was an accident, or they had a fight and it just went much further than he expected, then it will be easier for us as readers to feel sympathy and to root for him. And so as writers, we can build on the anxiety about whether he's going to get caught or whether he might even decide to come clean. This is good. Anxiety on behalf of the protagonist can really glue us to the page. But going back to the Exquisite Corpse, could you still use the fearless flamingo part? Maybe to help with character development? The fearless flamingo drove to the ocean for the inelegant bones. Well, what is a flamingo? An oddly coloured bird, very bendy. They seem to dip their heads beneath the water to feed. Could our protagonist be someone who sticks his head in the sand, so to speak, trying to deny what's happened, to pretend that everything's okay, to try and get on with normal life? But then again, something inside him is fearless, a fearless flamingo. Flamingo makes me think of a dancer, someone very elegant. Oh, and that's the opposite of the inelegant bones. It's weird sometimes. I don't know if you've noticed this, but every now and then you get these polar opposites on either side of the same exquisite corpse. It's very strange. But of course, there's no rule that you have to use the entire exquisite corpse. But I like to try and give the whole thing a go because it's such a great thing for your imagination to try and develop an idea, a story from the entire exquisite corpse, no matter how difficult it is. And if nothing else, Fearless Flamingo brings me back to the idea that there's a character in this story who isn't necessarily human. That's one twist you can always throw in there to see where it takes you, if you're open to doing fantasy. But what if the person who's driving to the ocean right now isn't human? What if they are a kind of sea monster that can shapeshift And when they killed that person on the boat and threw them overboard, they also stole the person's human form. So it is in fact a strange-looking creature now that's been found on the beach. But the people in white coats who are picking evidence off the bones have no idea the original owner of those bones is standing close by watching. There's some kind of weird fantastical swap that's happened. That is really weird. Something to explore, I think, after the show. For now, let's try another exquisite corpse. Okay, let's see what our first describing word brings us. This is from Anonymous. Thundering. Ooh, I like that. It's different. It's not an adjective, but it is a describing word. Let's see. We have from Janet Anthony Buck, nettle. A thundering nettle. That is very weird. I'm going to try for an action now. And this is from Elena Dennison. Climbed up the pyramid to save. Okay, we have a climbing nettle. Well, some plants are climbers, so that's not completely weird, but are they thundering? Then we have from Anonymous again, prehistoric. Okay, ooh, next to the pyramids, that's interesting. And last but not least, from Graciela Madrid, elf. Okay, not a Christmas elf. Let's not go there. Okay, so I'm just going to read the entire exquisite corpse. We have the thundering nettle climbed up the pyramid to save the prehistoric elf. Okay, actually, thundering nettle. This might be a common weed, just a nettle, but it's thundering with power or anger or both. It does make me think of the second book in my series, the Book of Exquisite Corpse, which is called Eye for Immortality. If you haven't read it, it gets very, very weird. The protagonist enters this kind of mind space that's ruled by plants. And she discovers that plants have a higher consciousness. They're not necessarily benevolent, but they're powerful, connected through a massive network of roots that go right through the world, through the earth. A supernatural or magical connectedness, but at the same time, it's very earthy, it's very natural. But here, the thundering nettle climbed up the pyramid to save the prehistoric elf. Oh, I see the connection now. The elf is a creature that belongs amongst plant life in the forest. For whatever reason, this elf has left behind its natural habitat, where it's damp, full of trees and natural hiding places, and it's made its way to the top of a pyramid in a very different environment, a hot, arid landscape, where it will wither if it's not rescued soon. By a plant? By a weed? A thundering weed? Why not? If all plants might be connected through the soil of the earth, who's to say a simple, common nettle couldn't poke its head up in a dry landscape if there's a little rainfall, a little moisture in the air? And thundering, maybe that's what that part means. This little weed travels by storm, and it comes to collect, to rescue the stranded elf. But what is the elf doing there in the first place, so far from home, and on top of a pyramid? The sky bulked up with rage, blue-black clouds rolling. The elf's skin tingled. Water, water was all she could think. But it would take a lot more than a refreshing downpour to save her. She had to get out of here, fast. The artifact pressed a hard, uncomfortable shape into her thigh, hidden in her pocket. The amulet that would save all elf kind. This feels like part of a scene in high fantasy, but at first glance, I would doubt that that's the first scene. A quest has been completed. The elf has managed to steal an important object from the land of the pyramids, and who knows what trials and obstacles she's been through, the lands and the seas that she's travelled to get to where she is. Then again, is the quest completely over? You could start a story here if it's not really your groove to write about a really long journey. Or if you want to keep this as a short story, not a long novel. And if there might be new, more interesting risks that lie ahead. What if she loses the amulet on the way home? What if it's stolen from her just when she thought she was safe and being rescued from her mission? What if the thundering nettle is thundering because it's angry with her, a thief, and it's actually come to take her away to be punished? I don't normally write high fantasy, so I'm leaning towards these other, slightly more unexpected possibilities. What would it be like to be snatched up into that storm? 1 minute, you're dry and parched in the heat of the sun, aching with thirst, wondering if you'll ever get home. The next, you're sucked up into a dark cloud, thick with moisture and clammy. What caused you to fly upwards into this blue blackness? The tendrils of a giant nettle are snaked around your torso, tightening. You scream, but the sound is lost. The eye of the storm is watching you, little thief. You don't belong here, forest elf, and now is the time for your punishment. Ooh, that's a bit creepy. I'm getting extra creepy. I think it's time for one last exquisite corpse. Let's see what we have. This is from Ebenezer. Sickly sweet. Next, we have a word that's caught between my fingers, and it's from Harold. Puppet. Ooh. Okay, let's see. What does this puppet get up to? From Alessandro Bozzo, we have pickled some radish with. Right. It's an interesting one, Alessandro. You've got my work cut out for me. This is from Robin the Mail Lady. Slimy. I suppose pickle is slightly slimy in a way. The last word is from Anonymous. Cow. Okay, so the entire exquisite corpse is the sickly sweet puppet pickled some radish with the slimy cow. Right, sounds like a very bad cooking experience to me. In the context of pickling, slimy cow makes me think of rotten beef. Not quite sure what to do with that part yet. But Sickly Sweet Puppet is rather curious. Puppets are already quite weird, and a sickly sweet one makes this one even weirder. False somehow. Well, it's already false because it's a puppet, but this kind of takes that to the next level. Also, just thinking about a puppet can also be someone who is controlled by someone else. Or, if you're sticking with an actual puppet here, and we're going to keep this fantasy, a puppet may believe it's alive when it isn't, which is kind of curious. I like this idea. But what would cause it to become sickly sweet? That phrase carries the scent of deceit in my mind. But with a puppet, surely the real deceiver is the one who's controlling it. Why would you enchant a puppet, if you could, to do something on your behalf instead of doing it yourself? Two main reasons I can think of here. First, it's a dangerous task, in the same way that there are, I believe, remote control robots that can dismantle a bomb in certain circumstances. A puppet, if it's sophisticated enough, let's think magically about this, could carry out some sort of dangerous task so that the person controlling it gets to keep a safe distance from whatever that is, whatever it involves. Can you imagine a murder scene with a puppet? So the person, the victim, never gets to see their murderer's face, but a wooden face looming down on them. Ooh, that's really creepy. But of course, that brings me on to the other reason why you might use a sophisticated, magical puppet to do your dirty work for you, and that is to hide your identity. Whoever sees or interacts with a puppet will not know who is behind it, controlling it from a distance. Again, I'm assuming that this is a magic that allows the puppeteer to manipulate the puppet from afar, just because that seems more interesting and mysterious. This is better than any disguise, unless, of course, you happen to be the only wizard in a 100-mile radius who is known to have that power. So much to think about with just the word puppet. But we've got to come back to this now and face the music. How can the evil deed be pickling some radish with a slimy cow? Unless it is a magic potion. But still, what would be the reason for getting a puppet to do that for you? It must be a very deadly sauce. I myself have never liked radishes. The puppeteer doesn't want to get splashed by the potion. It's that dangerous. It can burn your skin. And where is this puppet? The upstairs of a toy shop? A basement? A workshop where a puppet maker stores her finished or almost finished creations, ready for that last lick of paint perhaps. And where is it? Where is the controller of the puppet, I mean? Are they very remote? If they have the magical ability to see very far into different places through their mind, then they could be in another town, another country, or even another continent. Sitting deep in meditation, they mutter strange incantations as their eyes roll under their eyelids, pinched shut. But I can't help but think it would be more interesting if this character has limited powers, or isn't that confident using them. Because this can always be used to create tension in a story. We don't want to see their plan go perfectly. we need a risk that things will go wrong. Keep us on the edge of our seats. So instead of being really far away, they have to sit at a windowsill in a building opposite the window of the flat above the toy shop. Peering through binoculars, a spell book propped open by their elbow. The potion recipe has slipped out as a separate sheet of paper. In the room opposite, across the street, sits a wooden monkey, slumped one moment, jerking the next. Painted on eyes swivel to a small reading light quivering in the window of the house opposite. Our wizard, his hands shaking, leans on his windowsill, trying not to twitch the curtains any more than he has to. Squinting at the wooden monkey, glancing at his notes, he whispers strange words. What is this all about? I think you'll only find out if you try writing it. Or try daydreaming about it. Maybe during a walk, or doing the washing up, or even if you discuss the possibilities with a friend. Just don't forget to get in touch with me and tell me what you think. Tell me what happens. Well, it's all been rather creepy today. We've had a cold case murder, a body being washed up on the beach, with the guilty murderer finding himself back at the crime scene. But who or what are they? Then we've had a glimpse of high fantasy, an elf who's travelled far to steal an amulet, and now, believing she's about to be rescued and taken home to her forest, meets the wrath of a storm. And then finally, this last one probably takes the creepiness prize for this show at least. A sickly sweet puppet prepares a deadly potion, watched and controlled through a window by a wizard with shaking hands. That's probably enough weirdness for today, don't you think? Maybe. A big thank you to everyone who provided the words that helped generate these very strange ideas. Well, I can't believe how time is whizzing by. Yes, I have just lost a week to COVID, but even so, even before that, I was thinking, gosh, do you know what? The next Brainstorming show will be on the 23rd of December. That's Christmas Eve. I'm going to try and make it an extra special show by sharing with you how you can play Exquisite Corpse in person with friends and family at home to make your holiday get-together especially hilarious and intriguing. It's so much fun to play in person, honestly, even if you're not fishing for story ideas. The first time I played Exquisite Corpse in person, I have never laughed so much in my life for 2 hours straight. But, I mean, of course, you can just have 1 or 2 rounds. A single round will take between 5 and 10 minutes. So it really depends whether you get addicted or not, as to how long it might go on for. But make sure you tune in to the Christmas special on the 23rd of December to find out about my free gameplay giveaway, which will facilitate your very own in-person games at home of Exquisite Corpse. No socks are required, but I recommend that you wear them anyway during gameplay to keep your feet warm at the same time. What could go wrong? Until next time, go forth and be inspired. I hope you enjoyed today's Brainstorming. You can find out more about Exquisite Corpse and my series, The Book of Exquisite Corpse, at annatizard.com. Subscribe to my e-newsletter and you'll get Volume 1 for free. And while you're there, why not submit a few words to the Socks of Destiny on my play page? You may inspire me or inspire yourself to write a unique new story. See you next time.